Despite a jury in Chicago convicting actor Jussie Smollett of lying to police about faking a hate crime, Black Lives Matter is backing the now proven con man, saying that regardless of the jury's decision, the nation was founded on racism, meaning that the nation's systems are so racist, so the justice system's rulings are racist. The New York Post editorial board making the case that BLM's view of Smollett of his trial explains why critical race theory in schools has so many parents in an uproar. Let's bring in Chris Rufo, senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute and a contributing editor for City Journal. Chris, welcome.
It's great to be with you.
So let's dig deeper on the New York Post take on this whole matter. It writes, Hannah Jones argues that our nation was born out of slavery rather than the Continental Congress, that the Declaration of Independence was written and a revolution fought primarily in defense of slavery. Neither is true, nor is the idea that modern policing has its roots in slave patrols or that capitalism is inherently racist. But as with the defense of Smollett, the facts don't matter. He's a black man, so he must be innocent. The system cannot be trusted. Chris, your thoughts?
Yeah, that phrase, facts don't matter, is really at the heart of what we're talking about. Critical race theory for the last 30 years has argued that there is no such thing as objective truth. They've argued that ideas like rationality, evidence, empirical data are merely figments of white supremacy. And so if there is no truth, there is no objectivity, there are no facts, there's only subjective feelings. And even though Jussie Smollett, obviously, all the evidence suggests that he orchestrated a hate crime hoax, his feeling of being oppressed, of being attacked, overrides any factual or objective evidence. And so the whole world simply becomes their perception. They believe in their heart that white supremacy is the dominant feature. It must be destroyed. And they're willing to do or say whatever it is, no matter what the facts, in order to achieve it.
After doing a lot of reporting on what's been going on in our schools in recent months, I've talked to a lot of parents who say, look, there are parts of American history that aren't pretty. We should teach children that. But teaching children to see race in everything is what really troubles them. Your thoughts?
That's right. I mean, schools should absolutely present the entire honest history of the United States, including the history of racial injustice. But what critical race theory does is it uses those historical injustices as the premise for telling individual students, children, that they are guilty, that they are oppressed, they're oppressed or oppressors, and that they should be held responsible collectively for historical crimes. This is not only anti-evidence, it's anti-American, it's against the idea of individual rights, individual liberties, and individual expression. It should be removed from the classroom. It's pseudoscientific. It hurts kids of all racial backgrounds. And we should get back to teaching the facts, teaching kids how to be productive citizens, teaching the honest history of the United States, but always in the context of our highest ideals and our steady progress towards achieving them.
Black Lives Matter is now showing unconditional support for Smollett, even though he has been convicted, calling the trial a white supremacist charade. Does that send a troubling message to our children? Shouldn't they say, basically, we were wrong and we apologize?
They should, but I think the message that it sends to the public is that the Black Lives Matter organization, although it's built on a premise that we all agree, Black lives do matter, is a political organization with a radical agenda. It's rooted in neo-Marxist ideology. It pushes critical race theory-style conspiracy theories to the public. And this is just another data point in the slow collapse of Black Lives Matter. It had a high point last year during the protests. But now Americans have grown rightly distrustful of an organization that, presented with the plain facts, denies them. This kind of ideology shouldn't be in our courtroom and absolutely, with no doubt, should not be in our schools.
This conviction is obviously an embarrassment that ruins Jussie Smollett's career. But what about undermining real victims?
Yeah, of course. I mean, but what we've seen a pattern. A colleague of mine, Will Riley, has written an entire book called Hate Crime Hoax. These are serious crimes, but oftentimes, in many cases, they're actually hoaxes to perpetuate a political narrative. So we should always approach these hate crimes with a degree of skepticism. We should investigate them if they actually are real crimes. But we should not be surprised at incidents like the Jussie Smollett incident, where they're simply invented to promote a political narrative, even though they end up hurting real victims.
Chris Rufo, Manhattan Institute Senior Fellow, thanks so much for your time. Have a great day.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.